I am Stephanie Lange, and I'm a social worker at Dakota High School. I'm kind of moderating and hosting the session today, and I just want to let you know each of us are going to speak for about 12-ish minutes, and then at the end we'll have about 10 or 15 minutes left for questions from you. So feel free to hold on to those questions. There's a table up here against the wall that's going to have a lot of resources on it for you to grab at the end of the session. We're excited about that. And I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and get going if we're ready to go. Okay, so he's going to pull up. He's the boss of the PowerPoint. He's going to get us going here. And we're also clicking. This is very exciting. So how do I get this to do anything? Oh, there it goes, look. Okay, so I'm Stephanie Lange. I'm a social worker at Dakota High School. I've been there for 20 years. I know you're like, hey, but she's only 25. How did that happen? But no. So I have a really interesting job at Dakota. I am a general education at-risk youth social worker. So I get to do drug prevention, suicide prevention, all of those things, which, by the way, is funded with 31A dollars. So if you know anything about school funding and the 31A money, every public school gets 31A money. Our school district, Chippewa Valley Schools, uses it to fund a student assistance program that's been around for many, many, many decades. I think 3 decades between Chippewa Valley and Dakota. And one of the things that I do is try to infuse suicide prevention programming into our building in many different ways. So I'm going to quickly talk to you about the 9th grade stuff that we've been doing for a number of years, and then you're going to be the first person to hear about my new brainchild program that I'm working on for 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, and how we're going to be infusing this into the every child, every year gets something related to mental health in our school, besides just our regular health class that everybody gets. So you saw in the video Dennis Leggio doing his assembly. That was actually at my school. And by the way, some people don't know about Dakota. We're right now the largest high school in Michigan. We have about 3,050 students. So I always say, if I can do it and I'm one person, you guys can totally do it too, and I will help you. I'm happy to help share any of this with you. So we have the assembly for all of 9th grade and also 11th grade. And then I go into every English classroom, every single one for 750 freshmen, and I do a 1-hour classroom presentation that consists of a Kahoot. If you have never Kahooted, you're really missing out on something in life. It's pretty fun. Kids love it. My prize is like a Pop-Tart, so it's not expensive. They're really excited about getting a Pop-Tart, and it really helps us cover some common myths and ideas and feelings and perceptions about suicide in general. So we cover that. And then we also have a section on how to help a friend. So I always kind of put it as not necessarily it's you, but hey, this could be somebody you care about, what should you do? And then the third piece of that is what we call the mental health fire drill, which I completely and totally made up. So just to give you, they wanted me to tell you a little bit about this fire drill. So what I do is I start out by talking to the students about, and I don't even know if I have a slide about that, I don't. I always do a trigger warning too, just to let you know. Before I talk about anything related to suicide prevention or suicide in a classroom, I make sure I give the students kind of like what Mr. Urso did this morning for us, giving you permission to have feelings, to step out in the hall, to go to the counseling office. It's a really important part. And this is just what student assistance does. In case you've never heard of it, it's pretty amazing. I love my job. So I talked to the students about, like, why are we even talking about this in English class? Because this is weird, right? We're supposed to be in English. However, because this affects so many kids, and I put the number up there, if 1 in 6 high school students are seriously going to consider suicide before graduation, I want them to see that on our campus, it's 533 students. So you're not alone, your friend is not alone, nobody is alone in this. And of course, you can't tell by looking at someone if they might be one of these people. So I always kind of start out with that. This is a great video if you're also working on, some school improvement teams are really working on building empathy with your population on your campus. I'm not going to show the video, but it's very easy to find. Empathy Can Change the World. It's only about 2.5 minutes long, and we try to help the students to focus on what I might be able to do to help someone else, how my small action that I take might greatly impact another human, kind of get them in that mindset. Here's just a little screenshot of the Kahoot. I can also share that with you. Now we'll get to the fire drill. Okay, so I basically say to them, ever since kindergarten, you've been running outside, 3 times a year in case the building is on fire. However, I hate to break it to you, your building is probably never going to be on fire, but it's great that you know to go outside and what to do. And we talk about, why do we have you actually get up and physically go outside? Why don't you just sit in your chair, I'll show you a floor plan, we'll make an arrow, and the kids go, oh, well, we wouldn't know what to do, everybody would freak out. So once I kind of get them on board with the whole concept of a fire drill, I say, remember how I told you 1 in 6 students is going to think about suicide, but we've never told you what to do. We've never practiced what to do. So these little bookmarks are available out in the resource room at the no resolve table, and also I put a stack of them in here. Everybody gets a bookmark, and basically they flip it over, and it says, 3 people who care about me, and I have them write down the name of at least 3 adults. They're not allowed to pick another student. It's got to be 3 adults that they feel they could go to if they were ever thinking about suicide or they were concerned that maybe one of their friends were. They write them down, and then I have them put a little star or circle the person that they're going to do the fire drill with. So I tell them, this is the homework part, that what I want you to do is I want you to now go home in the next 24 hours, and you have to actually speak to this human. I have to be very clear. You can't text it. You can't take a picture and send it. You have to actually look in their face and have a conversation, which for some of them is a little terrifying. I tell them it's 30 seconds of your life that could make a really big difference. So I have to kind of, talk it up a little bit. And then I give them these Break a Secret, Save a Life cards, which I also have up here for you to take if you want to. These are provided by our intermediate school district at no cost to me. Amen. And I tell the kids, here's the other part too. So you pick Aunt Susie and you're going to go talk to her. And guess what we know is that a lot of adults don't even know what to do. So you go home and tell them, and then they're like, I don't know. So I say, not only do you have to be prepared, you have to prepare your adult. And I tell them to give this card to the adult. And this way they know what to do. And it covers all the warning signs. It's got phone numbers for our community, what to do and what not to do when someone's thinking about suicide. And then this little colorful card is what the students keep. It's a little Break a Secret, Save a Life card for the teenager to put in their phone. They can take a picture of it in their phone, put it in their phone case, pencil case, wallet, whatever is somewhere that they'll know where to find it. Because we talk about how when you're in a crisis, it's really, really hard to problem solve. So they leave with that and that plan to go home and talk to that adult that they trust. And that's the fire drill, and that whole lesson takes 1 whole class period. So then, we also give them the texting crisis line. We give them National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, our local county crisis line, and we give every student at our school mystrength.com. Now, as far as I know, I could be speaking out of turn. I will help you. If you're not in Macomb County, you're in a different county. My understanding is several years ago, almost every county, their community mental health got a grant to go ahead and provide mystrength.com to the people in their community. I'm one of the ambassadors for Macomb County for MyStrength, so every county has its own username and password. This is Macomb County's access code. I can help you get the access code for your county. But every kid has access to this online confidential resource for mental health. It's awesome. If you've never heard of it, come and see me at lunch, come and see me at dinner. It's helped a lot of kids. I also did an assembly at our International Academy in Macomb, and in one day, all 250 kids I spoke to opened up their own account and started using it. It's all evidence-based. It's completely cool. So that's another resource we give to every student. We also do a 5K at our school every year for suicide prevention and get the kids involved in that. It raises money for No Resolve, which now our money goes to the shed and also comes back to the Chippewa Valley Coalition for Youth and Families. So we get students involved in that every year. And then get to this year. So I said to my principal, we got to do something more than just for 9th grade and the 11th grade assembly and our class presentations at the beginning of the year. I want to get into every classroom every year. So he gave me these goals. He says, this is what I want you to do, Stephanie. I cut and pasted this right out of his email. So here's my goal, or my challenge, I should say. So what I did with this is I created a new lesson plan that I'm going to pilot second semester. And depending on how it goes and the amazing results I get from students, I will also be sharing this one, but I just want you to see what I'm going to be working on here. So number one, we're either going to do a perceived stress scale or we're going to do some kind of a teen stress test to validate and recognize the kind of pressure that the students are under, kind of like what the gentleman was speaking about this morning, to give them an idea to really be thinking about which areas of their life they're feeling the stress. Then, after that, we're going to do a gallery walk. I don't know if you've ever done a gallery walk with students. It's pretty cool. It's pretty powerful. Here's just a couple of images that we're going to use in the gallery walk. I'm going to have 6 stations. Some of them are going to be using our own MyFi data. And again, I don't have time to get all into the MyFi. If you're curious about MyFi, the Michigan Profile for Healthy Youth, and how it's used in Michigan schools, I do it. I help people do that. I can help you with that too. But essentially, these will be giant posters up around the room. Groups of 5 or 6 students will go to each poster. They'll have a list of questions that they're going to be discussing and writing down. That's going to cover statistics, data, stigma, and kind of trying to make it more common to talk about what's going on with mental health and some of the things that we're facing. Then, here's another example of some of the images we're going to use for the gallery walk, and then we're going to process that. And then last but not least, every student is going to leave with an action plan. And in that action plan, they're going to be making 1 or 2 goals about their mental health that they're going to want to work on in the next year. And then that'll be something that will help them figure out how to create those goals, make them measurable, make them something that we can check back with them. The teacher would be checking back with them again on these goals. So I'm really excited about doing this with some of our older students, our 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. I don't know how it's going to go. Sometimes it's amazing and sometimes it's not. But those are some of the things we're working on in our school. Even though it is so big, it's a little daunting. But I feel like I'm going to do this. I'm pretty excited. And the first lesson plan I've been using for 10 years. Tried and true. I guarantee it's going to work and be great. This new one, give me a couple months here and we'll see how it goes. And I will be able to get it to you. Okay, I see my time is up. It's very hard to be my own timekeeper, but I did it. So without further ado, we're going to introduce Mary to you, and she's going to talk a little bit about her programs and what she's doing. Can we get some help with switching over the PowerPoint, please?
Microphone for introductions first. Okay, sorry about that. Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Drew. I'm the program administrator for OK to Say. It's a student safety program. It's a partnership between our office and the Michigan State Police. I'm excited to share with you. My geek flag flies pretty high for this stuff, so I'm thrilled with the opportunity to be here. I have a long history of school safety. I was an educator. I've done lots of work on school safety, did contracting work with the Michigan State Police, worked in Homeland Security on school safety, and I also worked in the legislature for many, many years, so I've been very blessed with lots of great opportunities.
You have your 12 minutes, right?
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, Mary, it's your time to shine.
Sorry, everyone. Let's get clueless. Okay, so, all right. All right, I'm ready. Thanks for doing this. I know IT issues can be a real challenge, so this is be nice. It's okay to say? There we go. That's okay. Okay. Okay, great. This is an IQ test. I'm doing not very well, so thanks for your patience. So I'm here to talk about OK to Say. And what is OK to Say? It is a student safety program that allows anyone to confidentially be able to report anything that threatens their safety or the safety of another. It is essentially an early warning system to stop tragedies before they start. And really what we're trying to do is identify kids who are struggling so we can knock down those barriers and get students the help they need before situations turn tragic. So what we've done is we've created a system for kids to be able to call, text, email, go online, and download a mobile app. Well, most kids are talking with their thumbs, so texting is really how we get most of our tips, followed by our mobile app. It's an old dog like myself who's more likely to call. But again, what we've tried to do is create a system so any way a kid wants to communicate, we're available. The program is available 24/7. As I mentioned, it's with the Michigan State Police. All of the tips go to our MIAC, our Michigan Information Operations Center. It's operational, as I mentioned, 24/7. So, you know, because students live online, if somebody sees, somebody posting something, something that's troubling, a bystander can take a snapshot and actually include that as an attachment. So one thing we try to stress is we need to try to get as much information, the who, the what, the where, the when, so that we can pass on that information. We're going to pass everything on to school or to local law enforcement because you never know if maybe that little piece of information that we have helps kind of put together something at the local level. So we do make sure to pass everything on. But if we get a tip that says, my friend is going to kill himself, well, we know we need more information. If we get a tip, my friend John Doe from Northwest School in Lansing is going to talk about killing himself. Well, now we have enough information to pass that information on. So we are really, really good about trying to develop relationships with kids and getting them to open up. So who can file a tip? Well, anybody can file a tip. Students, bus drivers, coaches, teachers' aides, parents, anybody can file a tip. And we have what we call the A to Zs. There are actually 31 different tip categories where kids can let us know what's going on in their life. Again, our technicians are really, really skilled at getting those lines of communication opening up for kids. But because most of our tips are coming through the texting, it's about building relationship with a student online. It's very different from a 911. Hey, what's your emergency? It's about building a relationship. So this is an example of our MIAC. Why I say it's different from 911, what's your emergency? Well, with OK to Say, it can take up to 4 to 8 hours before we get enough actionable information to do something. Sometimes a student will just say, hey, hi, and it's about, hey, hi, this is OK to Say, how can we help you? So again, it's about building relationship with students online. So where do tips go? Well, that really kind of depends upon the nature of the tip. Most of the tips are always going to go to schools, but depending upon the nature. So if we get a tip about a student who's getting bullied, well, let's contact the school and let them know what's going on. If we have a situation where a student is bringing a weapon to school, we'll contact the school, we'll contact local law enforcement, and it will be like that very, very quickly. If we have a situation, we have a psychiatric emergency, will also involve the Department of Community Mental Health. Now, as a practical matter, we are not typically getting kids who are suicidal contacting OK to Say. We're getting tips from a friend. I'm really worried about my friend Susan. Susan said something, Susan posted something, I don't know what to do. So bystanders are really where we get most of our tips. If we get a tip on child abuse or neglect, we're supposed to involve the Department of Health and Human Services. Our technicians are mandated reporters, so we'll contact DHHS, or excuse me, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, pardon me, and the school. So we'll always let the schools know. If we have a situation where it's an emergency, there is a gun at school, that's a 911 call. But if we have a situation where somebody is talking about bringing a weapon to school, well, then that's an OK to Say tip. So one thing I want to stress is that OK to Say is confidential. And what I mean by that is we can pass on all of the tip information, but we cannot, under the law, release the name of the tipster. And we felt that that was the important role to take because every once in a while, I know this is going to be shocking, but every once in a while we do have a knucklehead in our state who will intentionally abuse the system. And in that situation, we want to have a mechanism and means to be able to go back. And there can be consequences for those who intentionally prank the system. you don't prank 911, and you don't prank OK to Say. Again, the other piece is that our information is not subject to FOIA, so schools don't have to worry that somehow their information will ever be shared. So why is OK to Say so important? Well, we know that in school violence, 81% of the time someone else knows what happened, but they don't tell. So what we're trying to do is change that. The truth is, you guys are working with kids. You know, kids know what's going on. They know who's had the bad breakup. They know maybe who's using drugs. They know who's in an unhealthy relationship. They know who's maybe thinking about harming themselves. They maybe know who has a vendetta. So what we're trying to say is, here is a way for you to step up, to make a difference, to be a change, a positive change, and it's confidential. But again, what we know is that most teens aren't telling a trusted adult. And I think sometimes kids have gone to a trusted adult and maybe nothing has changed in their life. And so they kind of give up hope. So one of the things that's unique about this program is that when we pass on a tip, we ask for an outcome report. So when we pass something onto the school, we want to know, how did the school respond? What was the outcome? And then, do you have any suggestions for how we can improve? Because ultimately, you know, we want this program to be the best we can possibly be. And if there are things that we can be doing to improve it, then by gosh, we want to know about it because we want to implement it. So one of the things that I do is I review every single outcome report. And in 2018, we actually had 2,394 outcome reports that I review. And I'll ask questions if there's something going on. But I think what I want to point out is the middle number. 68% of the time, when we're passing on that information, the school is unaware of it. So this is new information that we're sharing. So when I talk about that code of silence, it's very, very real. So how does the school participate? Well, the beauty is you don't have to opt in or opt out. Every school across the state of Michigan is a part of OK to Say, whether they sign up or not. And then the other question is OK to Say working? And I can tell you without a doubt it is. Since September of 2014, we've actually received nearly 23,000 tips. Bullying, cyberbullying, and I'm sorry, this is not an eye test, an eye exam, but it's the only way to kind of show you those 31 tip categories. But again, bullying, cyberbullying, drugs, planned school attack tips, look at that number. Self-harm, suicide threat, and then other. Other is that mental health aspect. The anxiety, the stress, the depression. So what I can tell you is there's a lot of kids who are really struggling. So again, pardon me, these are the top 5 categories. But again, when we started this program, bullying was our #1 tip category. But since 2017, suicide is our #1 tip category. Again, over 5,000 tips. What we're doing is we're trying to change attitudes about unsafe behaviors. And so what we want to do is create a safe environment where kids can feel their best to achieve. So if a kid is scared or worried or afraid to go to the bathroom, you know, something as basic as turning on a computer, we want to try to help. OK to Say has saved thousands of lives because kids do the right thing. We've had situations where, and I please make no mistake that when we're talking about, you know, peer abuse, you know, that sometimes, you know, that may seem like a small thing, but I assure you that if we can take care of the small things, they don't turn into big things. And I think that's really, really important thing. Again, we've been able to stop planned school fights. Here's an example of a tip. We got a situation, a very pretty 9th grader got a lot of attention by the 12th graders. And so they wanted to teach her a lesson, so they gave her a ride home in the car. They ended up taking their phone, and they ended up slut-shaming her to make her feel as insignificant as possible. And she ended up, you know, dropping her off at this boy's house who she had crush on. Anyway, long story short, they recorded it and sent it out, tip after tip we got, because kids saw it, they didn't like what they saw. Suicide, as I mentioned, is our #1 tip category. We have had such success. We've been able to plan to stop school shootings. Again, one of the other pieces is how kids define, you know, a friend is very different. They don't have to be in the same class. They don't have to be in the same building. They don't have to be in the same state. We've actually helped, when it doesn't stop at the Michigan border, we'll help every kid across the state of Michigan. This is very much Homeland Security. If you see something, say something, take every threat seriously, and then be that object, be the person to help make a change. So thanks very much.
Okay. All right, speed dating. Let's go. Okay. So I'll wait for the switch of the PowerPoint. My name is Kristy Buck, and I'm the Executive Director of the Mental Health Foundation of West Michigan. And we are located in Grand Rapids, Michigan, but our reach is throughout Michigan. I am the founder of Be Nice, which was actually created in 2011 following the death by suicide of a young man who brought national attention to cyberbullying. His name was Tyler Clemente. And the foundation had been doing a lot of education in the community prior to that. And so what we did was we needed to create something to keep the conversation going. So Be Nice was in my head. Am I up now? Just click. No. Okay, he's going to bring it up. So anyway, so we created Be Nice, and with that, we got called in to do assemblies to talk about being nice, but we were very, very intent about the fact that this is a mental health education, suicide prevention conversation that we're talking about. People need to have a greater understanding why you should treat people with respect, with civility, why you should connect with people. So Be Nice turned into an action plan. So it's an education program that directly educates individuals with the tool to recognize a mental health disorder. It's an action plan. It has 4 steps. It's to notice, to invite, to challenge, to empower. I may have caught many of you on your way in. I gave you all a bookmark. On it is the action plan. And then in addition, there's a little newsletter that we just sent out at the holidays, and then in addition are using just to have a better explanation. So it actually is a self-starting curriculum and a kit for schools. Why Be Nice? It's sustainable. It's mental health based. It is evidence based. So Grand Valley State University did a 3-year study on the program. It concentrates on resiliency. We kind of think it's visibly friendly. It's an easy tool to use and understand. It enhances existing programs already. So in our program, we make sure that we know what's already going on in the school. So if they're doing peer-to-peer, if they have okay to say, which everybody does have okay to say, we like to make sure that we're promoting any other program that might be going on in your school, specifically training kids about mental health and about suicide prevention. The best thing about it is it's student-led. And so we know that what works the best in schools is when students are connected to the program and they are bringing the information back to the student body. It creates outcomes for students, adults, and communities. That particular photograph was taken year 2 of the program, and back then I think we had about 35 schools on board, and we were actually able to do a flyover for schools for them to show us Be Nice on a school-wide level. So this particular school is still having Be Nice in their school, and they actually implement the program kindergarten through 12th grade, where the conversation of Be Nice matures as the kids grow older. And then in addition, it provides consistency in a model and in language. So the plan is to notice, invite, challenge, and empower. And this was another school district showing us Be Nice. This was about 5 years ago. And this was the bus driver saying, we're going to show Be Nice on a school-wide level. So what is Be Nice? Be Nice is an action plan. So again, the notice in Be Nice is to notice the good, the right. And so this is the strengthening positivity amongst the student body. I'm going to notice the good and the right about people. Yep, I might know the things that bother me about somebody, but you know what? I'm going to look deeper in and notice the good, the right. Why? Because if I can notice the good, the right, then I can notice the difference. I can notice a change in someone's behavior. I can notice differences in the way they're thinking, acting, and feeling, which is their mental health. I can notice a difference how they are treating each other in the school. Inviting, photograph up here are teachers who have gone online. So if you go to benice.org, you can take the pledge, and there's 4 videos that anybody can watch. So these teachers took it, they printed out their certificates, and so they put them in their school, in their building, in their classrooms. In addition, students are asked to invite themselves to go on and take the pledge themselves, because once everybody is on board, they know the plan. So to invite means invite myself to take a risk, reach out, invite myself to say something, starting a conversation, connecting myself with other students, invite myself to tell an individual what I have noticed in them that makes me concerned about what might be happening. It may be me inviting myself to go tell a trusted adult, me inviting myself to utilize okay to say and make the report. The I statements are important, and most of all, we need to listen non-judgmentally. How do I use the plan when I'm starting a conversation, particularly in middle and high school? Be nice is taught in the way of specifically the plan to use when you're concerned about somebody who might be struggling with the onset of a mental health disorder. Using the word I've noticed is one of the easiest ways to implement and to put the plan into action. And then obviously you want to know how long they've been feeling this way, have they talked to anybody, and ultimately where they can find resources in my school. The challenge is challenging someone to seek help. So in this action step, we're encouraging people to know resources in my school. Again, I am nothing but a promoter of okay to say, and this is where it fits again. So I'm going to challenge myself to take that risk, to make a phone call, to possibly save a life, to help an individual. I want to challenge myself to ask more questions if I've not done so. Empowerment in the student body about having knowledge about how I think, act, feel. In addition, we've got a high school photograph up here of students who are part of Be Nice. So Be Nice is a program that's being used right now by the Michigan High School Athletic Association. So in this flyer, it tells you a little bit more about the partnership that we have with them. When they selected a mental health education program for the 33,000 coaches that they have in middle and high schools, they selected Be Nice. So every coach is being instructed at a meeting that they all have to attend online. It's called their rules meeting. So it's evidence-based. The thing that I love the most about it is it provides common language for everyone in a school district. So as a kindergartner, they can learn the action plan. Oh, how I'm going to notice makes a difference on how somebody is thinking, acting, and feeling. So it is already teaching children about mental health at such a young age. As you get older, it turns into mental health education, suicide prevention by utilizing the plan to save, change, and improve a life. The results of the study are also on our website at benice.org. Again, the research, just a couple other school districts. One other thing that happened with it is it decreases the number of behavioral referrals and bullying incidents. So this is through the MyFi data that our professors used to gain the research. So Be Nice is actually a program that gets launched in a school. It comes in a kit, and it is more information about it is on our website if you click onto what is the Be Nice program. So right now we are in 18 counties across the state of Michigan. We just launched, we like to call it a launch, about 2 months ago on the east side of the state. So we received a grant to bring it into 10 schools over here. So I'm excited that I'm seeing the boys from University of Detroit Jesuit here. They are part of the Be Nice action team. So what transpires in a high school is once you sign on to do the program, you receive a kit. There's a built-in to select a liaison in the school, and that specifically would be somebody that's going to lead the charge. So it could be a social worker in the school. It could be a teacher that is passionate about leading a club or organization or implementing Be Nice. Be Nice can be part of a larger group. So at Rockford High School, their peer-to-peer group actually uses the Be Nice action plan when they are getting trained. How to go out, how to listen, how to take action with student body when they might be struggling with a mental health disorder. or it can be a standalone club or organization. After that, that liaison comes to a training. And right now, the training is live. So when we get 5 or more school districts signed up in an area, so what we did was we came over to the east side of the state. We partnered with, there's 3 counties, Wayne, Macomb, and Oakland all had schools. So we brought these 10 school districts together, and the liaison sat through a 3-hour training. After the 3-hour training is done, they've learned, how do I bring it back into my school? Okay, first step is educating the teachers, because a lot of times they're going, oh, we're all going to be nice. No, it's an action plan: notice, invite, challenge, and empower. And following that, they select the students that will be the leaders in the building to change the climate and to bring mental health education, suicide prevention in a 4-step action plan. So if you didn't get a newsletter, it's up on this resource table. And I encourage you to check us out online, benice.org. And I thank you for this 12 minutes of my speed dating.
Okay. So my name is Barb Smith. I'm the Executive Director of the Barb Smith Suicide Resource and Response Network. We are based out of Saginaw, but I'm actually representing LivingWorks here today, and the different trainings that we offer. I think first and most importantly to know that I am a Safe Talk Assist trainer, but we are actually all over the state of Michigan. So I'm speaking on behalf of all LivingWorks trainers here and how it might work. That's it. So I'm going to share the programs that we offer and then how it's actually working in the counties that we've really been intensifying the amount of trainings that we're doing, and hopefully it'll be a model for you to use in your schools as well. So LivingWorks is actually worldwide. It's been, their programs are developed out of Canada. They've been in existence since 1983. Over 2 million people have been trained, so I'm very excited to be part of this training community where we get done with the training, we post our pictures from other Facebook trainers, and we're all delivering this message in a standardized way. No matter where we go in the world, you'll hear the same messages, watch the same vignettes. So we want people to learn this life-saving tool. I just heard that we will use our trainings for suicide 10 times more than you'll ever use CPR. And yet we don't teach teachers, we don't teach people how to use these life-saving skills when it's surrounding suicide. So I think we need to change that, right? So our vision really is to continue to do these trainings where you live, work, learn, and play. As much as we want to do programs in our schools, what's going to happen is our kids are going home. They're going to ball games. They're going out with their friends. We need to create a space where everyone is learning the same tool. So this is where you live, work, learn, and play. So I want you to imagine this is one of your kids, if you're educators here. Let's imagine this is one of our kids feeling alone in their thoughts, feeling disconnected. Where do they go? Who do they talk to? And how are we going to build the circle of support for them? We need to build a community around the one child. It can't just be the educators, right? We can't put all this pressure on all of you. So we're going to do this in layers because we all know that everyone plays a role in suicide prevention. So the first program I'm going to talk about is called START. It is an online video, an interactive video, the only one of its kind. So it can be from 1 hour to an hour and a half. It's a $30 licensing fee per person. After you take this training, it's phenomenal. This is called the starter, right? This is to get the awareness, get the conversation out there for anyone who doesn't want to do an in-person, face-to-face. It's for anyone 15 and older right now, and they're trying to get it approved for 13 and older. It's amazing. There's vignettes. The avatars, you can change them to be adults, you can change it to be military, and so you change it based on the relationship that you want to practice, and you're continuing to practice throughout this training video. So you're not just learning it, you're actually practicing it. And when you're done taking the training, there's a link in there where you stay connected to other resources in your community, as well as your own resources that you want to make available for yourself. So the awareness training is called really the safety starter, the start of the conversations. The next training that we offer is called Safe Talk. This is a half-a-day training, face-to-face. The acronym is SAFE Talk, Suicide Alert for everyone, and the talk are the 4 steps that we teach you: to tell, ask, listen, and keep safe. Tell the person everything that you noticed in their behavior, and this is why I'm going to ask you the question of, are you having thoughts of suicide? The L is you're going to listen just a little bit to know why suicide came to their mind, and the K is to keep them safe by connecting them to someone who can do the full suicide intervention. So we teach anyone 15 and older how to have this conversation in a comfortable way that's life-saving. PD days work amazing in the schools. Right now, the state of Michigan is strongly encouraging all schools to have suicide awareness for their staff. This one is recognized as evidence-based. And right now, I think there's 15 states, I'm not sure if that number's up, that are required, but Michigan is not. We train 30 people at one time, but because there's multiple trainers around the state, I'm sure there's over 100 of us now, I can call any one of my co-trainers and we can have 6 of us at the same time training all 120 staff. So we do it in small groups, we teach the tool, and then there's a little bit of practice at the end. And you get a training kit with that as well. The next training is called Assist. Assist is the 2-day, and we call this the intervention provider. This is much more intense. It's 2 full days, 30 people to 45 max. These are the people that are going to learn to, it's the Assist is Applied Suicide Intervention Skills Training. So with this one, you are going to recognize someone with thoughts of suicide, ask the question, and listen much more deeper about the story of suicide. There's more listening involved in this one. We want to hear their story of suicide. We don't want to jump to an assessment. We don't want to ask any more questions. We want to know the story of suicide. And then this person in Assist would then be trained how to actually develop the SAFE plan. So a lot more of the work will be done. Most often you'll have one counselor in the school that's trained in this. Everyone doesn't need the 15-hour training or 16-hour training. It's evidence-based. Online, we offer it in our community, social work CEUs, sketches, backs. So a lot of these trainings are certified or for your CEUs. This one is a little more pricey, but what we need to do is we need to do this well. We need to do this well. We need to connect people. Suicide to Hope is an 8-hour training. We only have 2 trainers in the state of Michigan, and this is after an attempt. This is working with a person after an attempted suicide in person, a lot of videos, a lot of practicing, and this one is to help them go from thoughts of suicide in not a high quality of life to a quality of life of love, hope. So this isn't just where we the trainings, this is not just for you. What's going to happen is we are going to share resources. Whatever these trainings that you leave with, you're going to leave with resources in your community. We don't just leave the training with nothing. We give the training, and everyone there gets resources in the community that they can connect the person with thoughts to. So when we talked earlier about the be nice and the okay to say, we always make sure that they're added as a resource. So again, people know where to go to ask for help. So this is the many people that would be trained using these layers of trainings. The way we're doing it in Saginaw County, and we're doing it, Northern Michigan is doing a wonderful job. I think Oakland's doing a great job, and in Saginaw County. So in Saginaw County, we're doing it in our government building right now. So the perfect public model we're using is 80% of people should be trained in awareness trainings in your communities. 15% would be trained in the Safe Talk, which is the half-a-day training. These would be all the teachers that the students would be coming to. And then the Assist training or Suicide to Hope would be your 5%. And that's how we get 100% of the people trained in our communities. This would be the perfect model. We call it the integrated trainings. There's really no gaps. If we look at this, there's no gaps, right across the board. We are serving everyone's needs for the trainings. To me, this is what we formally have done. I've done this work for 31 years. This is what we formally have done. We talk about it, we bring awareness, we destigmatize, but we don't know where to send people. And I think that's why the suicide rates have been increasing. We're talking about them so much, we're bringing awareness, but we haven't connected people to the resources. This is what we're going to do. We have the providers here. We need to build a bridge. We need to bring OK to Say, the peer mentors. We need to bring people together, and we need to know where to refer the people to. So in the military, I'm going to show you what they did for a model. But in our government building, we just hosted 2 assist trainings. So they now have 30 of their government buildings. 1 person in each of our government buildings is trained in assist. We're going to go back in 1 person in all their departments, supervisor heads in each department, in each building of our government will be trained in Safe Talk. And then I'm going to go back in and I do a different awareness training using all of this content. It's an hour and a half, and most people can do that. So that's how we're building in our communities. In our high schools, we're holding assist trainings, not in the school, some are, but then we're bringing in school counselors, HR people, anyone from the schools, and we're doing an assist training. We hold a community training. Then we go in and we do a Safe Talk training for all the staff, and then we go back in and we do the awareness for the kids. Because if we keep doing awareness, people don't know how to help our kids. When they're talking about it, they don't have the resource when they go home. So let's look at this. I have my 1 minute, so let me show our military and the way that it works in the military. Can I click it from here, or do you have to do it? Well, if I click it, it went away. Thank you. There's no sound. Can you give me sound? It's not my computer, I don't know. Did you wear your Fitbit today? Sorry, guys. So anyhow, it's really being integrated trainings where we, again, don't just leave the trainings. We make sure that we're connecting people to substance abuse, homelessness, alcoholism, gambling, domestics. So we have all these other people that are also being trained in the community in the same way. So we're all speaking the same language. Oh, you're muted right there. Oh. I'm working.
Go ahead, Barb. Thanks. I was just wondering if staff has to have the starter training before you come in and do Safe Talk training.
No, starter training is really the filler because it's $30 per person for that training. So we prefer to come in as the starter. So we recommend an assist first somewhere in your community where one or 2 people are at least trained in assist, then go in and train all the staff, then do your awareness in the schools. Okay.
We want to take another question while he's figuring out the sound? Do we have any questions? We can take a question while we're waiting. Anybody? From any of the presenters? We got one right here.
For these school trainings and so forth, whether it's for Be Nice with the students or, what was the first one? Okay to Say. Okay to Say. What about when you have pushback from that particular school or several schools around you, or the parents themselves? Because if the kids hear about it, then, it's more likely to happen type of myth thing.
Yeah. Do one of you want to address that? Because I also have a
Sure,
trick
because
that I
we get
use.
pushback all the time. I mean, I could speak until I'm blue in my face. I'm also on a school board, so I am one of 7 elected people. But, we just got to keep going at it. And so what we've done with Be Nice also is we have it built for faith communities. So we put a little God in it, and that works. And then in addition, in businesses. So we're going into companies, and if we can get as much information pushed out to as many adults, okay, right? Then at least we are talking to someone and adults that can intervene in kids' lives. We'll have schools attend conferences and get it, and now there's 31A money, and there's so much talk and movement. We've got okay to say in so many schools, but it's got to be the adults that are also informed and trained. So that's a scoop.
An interesting approach I use also, because we do get pushback. So in elementary schools, when they do things like Smart Moves or DARE or start educating about drugs, parents don't freak out about that. They think it's fabulous, and we know research shows that that doesn't increase drug use. So I try to use the principles of prevention in that realm and bring it over to, because it's the same, I'm the sex ed supervisor, talk about a nightmare. That's a whole different conference to talk about sex ed. It doesn't promote a behavior, right? So did we get the sound to work? All right, let's do it.
We're facing a big problem. Our troops are dying at an alarming rate. And it's not happening in combat. It's happening here at home. To U.S. Army servicemen like Specialist Thomas. He's 24, belongs to the 1st Battalion, 327th Infantry Regiment, 101st Air Assault Division, based in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And he loves baseball. After serving one tour in Afghanistan, everything's changed. He tries to hide it, but he's not doing well. He's not sleeping. He's got a short fuse. His team leader, Sergeant Martinez, notices him losing focus on the job, and he and his spouse just recently split up. It's all too much to bear. And one night, while off post, Specialist Thomas kills himself. Grief ripples through his family, friends, and across the entire battalion. Many will never recover from this loss. And though shocking as it seems, the reality is that suicide is the second leading cause of death among U.S. military personnel. But there is help and hope out there. It's called LivingWorks, an integrated approach to suicide prevention where everyone has a role to play. It all begins with LivingWorks Start, a simple 60-minute suicide prevention online training program that coaches servicemen and women on how to get their fellow soldiers the help they need. So, let's go back to the beginning. Back to Specialist Thomas before he kills himself, and see LivingWorks in action. Remember Sergeant Martinez? Well, he's just begun his LivingWorks Start training. He's taught how to recognize the signs of someone at risk and learns how to refer that person to other LivingWorks trained service members. So when Sergeant Martinez recognizes that Specialist Thomas is in trouble, he acts on his training and takes Specialist Thomas to their LivingWorks Safe Talk trained squad leader, who pulls in the help of the LivingWorks Assist trained chaplain, who intervenes and helps develop a plan that surrounds and supports Specialist Thomas to keep him safe and changes the course of his life. Now imagine this process repeating across the entire squad, platoon, company, battalion, brigade, division, installation, among friends and family, and throughout the surrounding communities. And you create a network that keeps our soldiers safe and alive, so they can stay focused on their #1 job, being ready for anything.
Community. It's going to take more than one training, one program, but really we can create a suicide-safer state of Michigan. I really appreciate that you're all here and for what you all do for our kids.
Thank you, Barb. Thank you so much. Do we have any other questions for anyone on the panel? Yes, we have one back here. I'm Phil Donahue today, for people that know who Phil Donahue is.
I prefer Sally Jesse, but whatever. No, I was just wondering, I just kind of asked the elephant in the room for school counselors having to do with staffing resources allocation, because I feel like everybody who went into counseling went in there to do all these wonderful things. And I think the fear is if we bring these programs in, it's, do we have enough resources to adequately deal and address with, address all these things that are going to come back at us. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. And how did you all handle that?
For me, I can just tell you, when we do a Safe Talk training, every counselor comes and says thank you, because everybody panics when a kid talks about suicide, and there's like one counselor for 600 students. And what's happening is now they're able to handle it without sending everybody so quick. They're diffusing it, they're able to diffuse it a little bit and connect the student to where they really need to be. So it's actually taking more stress off the counselors.
And in addition, I really took a lot away from Dr. King's presentation the last session, and that was building connectiveness in a school. So I think that once kids feel more connected, there is a natural feeling of less fear, and that goes with the presentation we heard this morning. So not everyone, I mean, most kids are going to pass through school with resiliency. I mean, I teach that all the time when I'm teaching mental health first aid. They are. But how can we build that? And that is making sure that kids have a lot of options to be involved, right? So clubs and organizations. My favorite thing is after we go in and we've done Be Nice for a few years, 3, 4, the yearbook becomes about that thick from being that thick. And what happened was they've built more clubs and organizations for more school kids to get involved. At a school like Dakota, everybody isn't going to be able to play sports. They're just not. And they may have had full intentions. I'm going to be part of the basketball team. I'm going to make it. And they don't make it. What are they going to do? So our program really challenges schools also with the C having more options and opportunities for kids to remain involved. And then ultimately, yeah, we need more suicide prevention programs. Obviously, who's going to have the conversation? So it doesn't turn into just the counselor all the time, right?
Thank you so much. Oh, we have a question right here.
Do you know if you need some type of parent permission in order to start a program or introduce suicide?
So there isn't anything in the law that it's not like sex ed that says we have to notify parents, but my opinion is, and your opinion might also be, that when you're launching something like this campus-wide, it's important to involve the parents and let the community know what is happening. I don't know if you guys want to speak to that too.
15 and older, or under 18, they have to have a parent signature to attend if we're doing the Safe Talk for the students. In the Safe Talk, we do peer-to-peer. Oftentimes, those types of groups are bringing us. If I do an awareness, a letter goes home to all the parents first, stating if you don't want your child to hear this, please let us know.
So I know in the district where I'm on the school board, it actually became part of our own policy that in our health curriculum, they will be talking about mental health and ultimately suicide prevention. And then they instilled a youth screen, a tool, and that needs permission. So if it's part of the school day, but I always feel that parents need to be on board with whatever's going on. They need to be part of the conversation. So in newsletters, hey, we are launching this. We've got okay to say this is what it's all about. This is Be Nice. This is safe, right?
Yeah, so know your school's policy. That's really important. But there isn't anything in the state law around public schools that says we have to get parent permission or anything related to mental health, at least not right now.